This video is sponsored by Space Square. Now, for a limited time only, you can own your very own square of space. No longer is space the thing of science fiction movies. You can place it on a shelf, on a wall, and be the life and soul of the party. You can just stand and look at it, and if you're very lucky, it might stare right back.
Even in the vacuum of space, I can smell your ass.
This is Resident Evil 4, and I first purchased this way back on the GameCube, and I've purchased it on every single console since. I think it's probably one of my favourite games, second to Dark Souls. Anyway, when I heard that the Resident Evil 4 remake was coming out, I thought, great, this is very much up my alley. I'll make something from the game. That's what I did. Also, I've got it on VR. This is a Sam Heater Acacia wood round coaster, protection tabletop, countertop and surfaces from watermarks or damage, $6.89 from the Amazon, and like most of my sculpts I'm going to use this as a base. Using this incredibly manly hand drill, I'm going to drill some holes and then attach some very strong steel wire from the Wilco and make a vague humanoid shape and then cover it in tin foil. Very matter of fact so far. We may veer as the video goes on. Now, throughout the entire process I will be adding bacon bond to the... oh god, could you hear my belly there? Did that come through? I'm going to check back. But I don't know why I'm drawn attention to it. Is it sexy? I just don't know anymore. If you could leave a comment, let me know. This is some Super Sculpting medium, and I've heard through the grapevine that it's been s***ing off my mother, so I'm about to fuck it up. Someone get out the motherfucking crackers, it's grey cheese all round! So this is the vague human form made with wire and tin foil. One day there's going to be a character that looks exactly like this, and then that will be the end of the video, job done. But until then, I'm going to put some bacon bond on its legs and then cover them in the Super Sculpting medium that is now a shell of its former self, and too bloody right. Just applying the clay to the leg there, and straight away, without too much work, we already have the leg of an elderly man trying on his school uniform trousers. Trying to relive his youth. Creepy. Now, this gym bro clearly did not skip leg day, but took it a little too literally, and assumed it was leg, singular. So we're going to fix that with a bit more clay. You're welcome, bro. I may be in the small majority that thinks fuck leg day, but then I'm also in the small majority that believes fuck gym day. After a quick Google, I've discovered there is a gym day, and I don't mean this guy. Don't fuck this guy. I mean, you could if you wanted, but I imagine that he will take full advantage of you and then never call you back. He's a busy guy. He's got his sports. I mean, I'm not here to teach you to suck eggs, but if Jim Day does ask you to suck his eggs, then at least make him pay for dinner. Giving those thighs a lovely healthy shine with a bit of isopropyl alcohol, ready for the sexy leg competition. And it's time to add the cod piece. Once the package is firmly in place, it's time to add the hips. Now, what are hips, you ask? Well, the hips are basically, I mean, they have no other purpose other than to frame the buttocks and the front area. People get hip replacements. It's much like getting your family portrait reframed. Not necessary, but attractive nonetheless. I am not a doctor. Now, do excuse me while I give this buttocks a good long shine with some isopropyl alcohol. My mind's telling me no, but my body is telling me yeah. Oh, Kelly, whatever happened to that guy? Anyway, here's the small of its back. I half considered giving it a little tattoo, the Chinese symbol for peace or something, just there above the crevice. But I thought better not. Once the waist is done, I'm moving on to the chest now, giving this guy a couple of man boobs. I'm actually referencing my own here. It's always good to draw from life. Now, this is supposed to be a video of me sculpting a creature from Resident Evil 4, but it does seem to be overly sexual up until this point, and I do apologise as I rub this guy's breasts. I'm gonna nip that in the bud and just concentrate on the sculpting now, if that's alright with you. I'm using the pointy rubbery silicone thingy here to lightly brush some lines across its chest. And once that's done, give it some flabby ribs, 2 on each side, and then blending those ribs in. Just going through the motions here. If you've seen any of these videos before, it should all be familiar to you. If you've not, then do consider going back and watching them. They're still there. And here it is, fresh from the British Museum, no doubt pillaged from a poorer nation. But the museum is free, so it's fine. Now, the skin is far too smooth for the Regenerator / Iron Maiden, so I'm using a homemade texture tool, which is basically a bit of baked clay on the end of a broken paintbrush, textured, and rubbing that all over its body. Back with the pointy rubbery silicone thing, giving it a few more lines across its body. Now, these things do stretch, so I'm imagining these are stretch lines. But also, from the few reference pictures I could find, they are covered in scars or open gashes, cuts, wounds, I don't know. I think I just wanted to add a bit of colour in there. So I'm using this Sweet Lover's Nightmare to etch in some lines and scrapes and scars and other words that mean the same thing. Now it's time to go multimedia on yo asses, adding another medium to the clay. Now these things are covered in spikes, if you are familiar with the game, and to make these spikes I'm going to use cocktail sticks. 36. Did you know in the old days this used to be a game, picking up sticks? Jesus wept. Next I'm going to use a receptionist's disdain to sharpen each of these sticks because they're not quite sharp enough, and I want the effect to look good, and I want to poke myself countless times throughout this project. Give the stick a little snippy snip, and then poke a hole into the model. Wherever I'm going to put a stick, poke a hole. And before I put the stick in, dip it in bacon bond. Got a lovely firm hold there. These things will not break, especially after they've been baked a bit. They seem bloody formidable, is the word. To save you the tedium, I did this many times off camera. Now, these things have spikes sporadically on their stomach and on their shins and I think on their arms, but not on the thighs for some reason. I don't know what the reasoning is behind that. Perhaps it's a mobility issue. Anyway, I've done them all. And now it's time to give the guy some arms. God bless him.
I once caught a fish this big.
No, you didn't. Why have you got to lie? It's compulsive with you. You're always lying. I can't trust a single word you say. I was there on that fishing trip. You didn't catch anything. I've beefed his arms out with some clay. Much the same steps as the body. In fact, exactly the same steps as the body. Some texture, then a few scars, and some spikes. And it's going to be pretty much the same for all of the limbs. And now I just need to make another one, which is a pain. Oh no, look, it's already there. That's lucky. Now we're on to the annoying part. Hands. I mean, what do we even need them for? Anyway, I've made a stand to try and make it easy for myself. Oh, that was fancy. I know a guy, Industrial Light and Magic. Took the boys a good 3 months to put that scene together, so I hope you appreciate it. But just like most Industrial Light and Magic projects, it fell apart the minute I got it home. So I had to attach the fingers once more. Bloody hell, George. Now, there is a reason people hate hands in the art sphere. It's because they're bloody hard and fiddly, and I've got big old fat hands. So using this stand helped. Using the old stylus-y pointy rubbery thingy, blending those fingers in, and just letting them fold where they bloody want to, because I can't be bothered with it anymore, to be honest. Also, I forgot to mention that these hands are made from cosclay, not Sculpey. For flexibility, here's a big old packet of Cernit translucent clay. And I'm using this to make claws. Now, the best way to make claws is to make crescent moon shapes, and then cut them in half after they've been baked. It's much easier to get a point, plus you get 2 for 1. As ever, to separate the 2 claws, I shall be using the...
Yeah.
Do make sure you're holding both ends when you cut it, otherwise one piece will fly off faster than the speed of light and you will never ever, ever see it again. Take my word for it. Using a tiny, tiny ball stick, I'm going to make holes in the end of the fingers, ready for these claws to be pressed in and slightly blended in. Now, this is hard, it's very flimsy, very tricky, and once those claws are in, I need to add spikes to the back of the hand as well. It is a very spiky hand. We are all obligated to deliver whatever claws and teeth we have left over to Molar, the tooth god, so I'll do that now.
Oh, Daddy needs teeth bad. Give Daddy what he wants.
Yeah, it's coming. Steady on.
Oh, I can't stand it. Just put it in my mouth.
Oh, do you have to ask like that?
You do for Daddy. Daddy does for you, big boy.
Yeah, I know how it works. Now, these things have long arms, but this arm is just too long, so I'm going to cut a bit off. And trim a bit of the wire, because that's too long also. And when the hand that I've just spent ages making was on the cocktail stick, it left a hole. And that hole is the perfect size for the wire. See, there's levels here. Levels of skill and ingenuity that are working atop of each other. It might seem like a mess, even this voiceover, but it's completely planned. Now I want to get this out there, these voiceovers are never planned, that's why they're an absolute shit show. The hand has been blended into the wrist with a bit of clay, and now all I need to do is make another bloody hand. Oh God. Thank God. Off camera I made some leg hands as well. I'm sure there's another word for them, but it escapes me. Introducing Mr. Thumbhead. Those of you, if you look close enough, you can see my actual thumbprint on the face of this head. And if you were skilled enough, you could take that thumbprint from the monitor or TV and unlock my Android phone while I'm asleep, or I've got my back turned, or, you know. I'm using the art shiv here to cut this Regenerator / Iron Maiden's grin. Has a very strange shape, this head, when you take the bottom jaw away. I can't quite put my finger on what it looks like, but it's very, very familiar. Now that it's reasonably smoothed out, it's time to add some very tiny and very fiddly teeth all along the top ridge there. And this was harder than expected. I don't wish to be a channel that just complains constantly, but have you seen the price of coffee these days? And also look at the state of those teeth. I mean, look at the size of those open gingival embrasures. But it worked out fine. It often does. I don't know what I was worried about. Despite the overall flaccid nature of the Regenerator / Iron Maiden, it has a very, very strong jawline. I'm quite envious of this guy's jawline. People often ask me, why have you got a beard? It's because I've got no chin. There, I've added the teeth on the bottom row, and my fingers are pointing out the two little sausages of clay ready to be made into sternocleidomastoid muscles. And now with this very fancy dynamic camera angle, you can see the other muscles, such as the trapezius, scalnus, levator scapulae, sternohyoid, platysma, and the omohyoid, and SCM. That's like bondage, isn't it? I'm adding 2 discs of clay to its head to press over it to beef it out a bit and to give it some lips at the top there. Also, I need this layer to press the cocktail sticks into it because I'd forgotten to do that before baking. Also, looking at the source material, the Regenerator / Iron Maiden has tiny little white spikes on its claws. So I've added those with some offcuts from earlier. I've taken them out of the gullet of Molar. He's not happy. And here it is, fully sculpted, ready for a lick of paint. But first...
Hello! Just like to say a big thanks to the patrons! Gemma Ingram, Country Fried Minis, Dave Birdsall, Ed Trots, Isabel, Shy Talk, Smokey, and Zoltan. Also the second tier, the do-gooders tier. Thank you Andy Scott, Anthony Roberts, Benedict Miller, Brando B, Cathal Grant, Chris Gilliard, Dan Pennykedge, Demon Mittenhands, Gert Gervans, Goat Harasser, Carl Deacon, Krista, Larry, Leopold Steinmetz, Mike Pitt, Positive Puppet, Raiders of Lard, Rich Miles, Richard Davidson, Steve, it's me, Ted Nelson, Stuart Ashton, Want Pants 2. And a big thanks to the doers tier. It's very kind of each and every one of you keeping me afloat with cold cuts and Ribena. Thank you. If you'd like to join Patron, the link is in the info.
Thank you very much, patrons. Starting with an undercoat of
Luftwaffe uniform.
and just slapping that on without a care in the world. Well, actually, not getting any on the teeth or claws, which is a pain in the bum. And once that's dry, a lovely dry brush with a lighter grey. I don't know what colour it is, it's just a light grey. Now this, because it's so textured, there's a lot of dry brushing going on here. And you can't really go wrong. As long as you sort of stay to the same sort of palette, make a bloody mess, as you'll see. I use browns, greys, blues, and a bit of red. And didn't give no shits.
Are you swearing again? Showing off to your mates?
I'm not showing off. Just let me do it. Let me do my video. I'm 39. What's for dinner?
Fish fingers.
Ah, wizard. Good news, everyone. Fish fingers for dinner. I'm using a sponge and just dabbing the crap out of this thing. It might look a bit child school project, a bit messy, but it's fine. It will come together later on, trust me. Next, I'm using the dark flesh tone to fill in the little gashes there, the cuts and the stretch marks. And might I say, it was incredibly satisfying to paint inside those indentations. The crevice guided the brush for me. Thank you, crevice. And once that was done, added a brown wash to the entire thing and the teeth and the claws, and that's pretty much the painting done. The base is painted black. That's everything. That's me done for now. I'd like to say thank you very much to the patrons. You really are the wind beneath my wings. I've said that before, but you are. And anyone else watching, if you're not subscribed, then why not like and subscribe? Like, comment, subscribe. It's one word. It's quicker. Here's a jingle.
Why don't you hit that like and subscribe? Why don't you hit that like and subscribe?